I didn't realize something was wrong at first. That's the dangerous part about slow change, that IT doesn't announce itself, that IT just quietly rearranges your life. We have been together for 7 years. 7 years sounds solid when you say it out loud, like something that should be unbreakable. But time doesn't protect you from distance. IT only makes it harder to notice when it starts. Her name was Claire. She used to talk with her hands. Her emotions were always visible, always reaching outward. I admired that about her at least. I thought I did. In the beginning, everything felt balanced. She spoke that I listened. She dreamed that I stabilized. She felt deeply that I stayed calm. It worked, until it didn't. I've always been good at surviving. Not thriving. Not opening. Surviving. I learned early that emotions complicate things. That silence keeps you safe. That saying less gives people less power over you. I carried that logic into our relationship without realizing it. Claire noticed before I did. She always did. It started with small comments. "You're quiet tonight. You seem far away lately. Are you okay?" I always answer the same way. "I'm fine." And I meant at least. I thought I did. The truth is, I wasn't unhappy. I was just absent. Present physically, reliable, consistent. But emotionally, I stayed behind a locked door I never gave her a key to. One evening, she cooked dinner while I answered emails. I told myself it was important. Work always had a way of justifying itself. She set the plate in front of me, sat down, waited. I kept typing. "Can you look at me?" she asked. Not angry, not accusing, just tired. I looked up. "What's wrong?" I said. She exhaled slowly, like she had practiced patience for too long. "I don't know how to reach you anymore." That sentence stayed with me, not because I understood it, but because I didn't. "I'm right here," I said. She nodded. "I know," she replied. That's the problem. After that night, things changed in ways I didn't immediately recognize. She stopped asking questions, stopped pushing conversations, stopped trying to pull me closer. At first, I felt relieved. No pressure, and emotional negotiations, and expectations I didn't know how to meet. But silence doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it means resignation. Weeks passed. We moved around each other politely, like roommates who respected boundaries they never agreed on. She still laughed, just not with me. She still talked, just not about anything that mattered. I noticed she spent more time outside. Long walks, late returns, phone turned face down. I told myself not to overthink it. I had always been proud of my self-control. One night, I woke up and reached for her side of the bed. It was cold. She was sitting on the floor by the window, wrapped in a blanket, staring into the dark. "What are you doing?" I asked, half asleep. She didn't turn around. "Trying to understand when I started feeling alone next to you." That was the first time fear entered the room. Real fear. Not the kind you rationalize away. The kind that sits heavy in your chest and doesn't explain itself. I wanted to say something meaningful, something reassuring, something honest. But the words didn't come. They never had. So I said nothing. And that silence did more damage than any argument ever could. She stood up slowly. "I think," she said quietly, "that you love me in a way that doesn't include me." I watched her walk back to bed. I didn't stop her. I didn't follow. I didn't ask what she meant, because asking would have required answering. That night, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was afraid of being seen. And for the first time, I wondered, how many things had I never learned to say, and how much would they cost me? After that night, nothing exploded. There were no dramatic arguments, and slammed doors, and ultimatums. Just a quiet shift in gravity. Claire stopped waiting for me, not in a way that demanded attention, but in a way that made everything feel colder. She woke up earlier, left without saying much, came home with tired eyes and polite smiles. The kind you give strangers. I told myself relationships go through phases. I told myself this was normal, temporary, fixable later. Later was always my favorite word. At work, I functioned perfectly. Meetings, deadlines, decisions. People trusted me because I never hesitated, never overreacted, never let emotion cloud my judgment. They called it maturity. They didn't know it was avoidance. One afternoon, I came home earlier than usual. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. I noticed boxes in the corner of the living room. Not packed, just present. Like an idea she was slowly making real. Are those for storage? I asked casually. Claire looked up from the couch. Yes, she said. That was all. I sat down across from her. The distance between us felt intentional. Are you planning to move something? I asked. She closed her book. I'm planning to understand myself, she replied. That answer unsettled me more than anger would have. What does that mean? I asked. She tilted her head slightly, studying me like she used to, but differently now. It means I've spent years translating my feelings into a language you never learned. I felt exposed. Not accused, exposed. I never asked you to do that, I said. I know, she replied. That's the problem. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of fear, because of recognition. I started replaying moments I had dismissed as insignificant. The time she reached for my hand and I didn't notice, the conversations I shortened, the emotions I neutralized with logic. I thought I was being stable. I was being unreachable. A week later, she asked if we could talk. I nodded, already rehearsing calm responses in my head. We need space, she said. Not I want. Not I feel. We need. How much? I asked. She paused. Enough to breathe. I wanted to argue that T.O. negotiate that T.O. find a structure that made sense. But space doesn't fit into plans. She moved into the guest room that night. The bed felt larger, the silence louder. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself she'd come back when things cooled down. I had no idea she was already cooling something else entirely. Days turned into routines without touch. Morning greetings, evening updates, nothing personal. One night, I found myself standing in the doorway of the guest room. She was reading. She looked up. Yes, she asked gently. That gentleness broke something in me. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. It was the most honest thing I'd said in years. She closed the book. I know, she said, and I don't know how to keep waiting for you to learn. I want to ask her to stay. The words sat heavy in my throat, but asking would mean promising something, and I wasn't sure I could keep it. Instead, I asked the wrong question. Is there someone else? She looked genuinely sad. No, she said. There doesn't need to be. That answer hit harder than confirmation ever could. I'm not leaving because of someone else, she continued. I'm leaving because I'm disappearing next to you. The room felt smaller. My chest tighter. I realized then that love isn't always lost through betrayal. Sometimes it fades through neglect, slow, quiet, unintentional neglect. I love you, I said suddenly. The words felt unfamiliar, heavy late. She didn't smile. I know, she replied. And I believe you. She stood up, facing me fully. But love isn't just something you feel, that's something you let be seen. That night, I lay awake again. But this time, I didn't avoid the thoughts. I let them sit. I let the discomfort burn. For the first time, I asked myself a question I've been running from for years. What if silence isn't strength? What if it's fear wearing discipline's clothes? And what if learning to speak meant accepting that some things would already be too late? Claire moved out on a Tuesday. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Efficient, quiet, intentional. She folded her life into boxes the same way she used to fold our conversations. Carefully, without wrinkles, without leaving anything hanging. I helped carry them to the car. We didn't touch. At the door, she stopped. I'm not doing this to hurt you, she said. I know, I replied. That was the problem. When the apartment door closed behind her, I stood there longer than necessary, waiting for something, a sound, a feeling, a collapse. None came, just silence. The first few days felt deceptively manageable. I worked longer hours, went to the gym, ordered food I didn't have to share. I told myself this was adjustment, growth, independence. I told myself a lot of things. It wasn't until the weekend that it hit. Saturday morning, no plans, no noise. I reached for my phone out of habit. Nothing to send, but no one to update. That's when loneliness stopped being theoretical. I started noticing the things she used to soften. The quiet felt sharper, the light harsher. Even the apartment sounded emptier, like the walls were waiting for someone who wasn't coming back. I replayed our years together. Not the big moments, the small ones. The pauses I didn't fill, the emotions I labeled unnecessary. The times she needed presence, and I offered solutions. I thought I was protecting us from chaos. I was protecting myself from vulnerability. 3 weeks later, she asked to meet. Coffee, neutral ground, daylight. She looked different. Not happier, not sadder, clearer. I didn't come to reopen anything, she said. I just didn't want the last version of us to be silence. I nodded. Silence had been my specialty. I've been doing a lot of thinking, I said. She smiled gently. I'm sure you have. That smile wasn't sarcastic. It was tired. I finally understand what you meant, I continued. About translating yourself for me. She waited. I took a breath. I didn't know how to meet you where you were, because I was afraid of what I'd find there. She looked down at her cup. That's the first honest thing you've said without being cornered, she replied. I don't expect anything from this, I added quickly. No second chances, and no rewrites. I paused, but I needed you to know I see it now. She met my eyes. I believe you, she said, and I'm glad you got here. Then she said the sentence I'd been both hoping for and dreading. Just not with me. It hurt, but it didn't destroy me, because for the first time, the pain made sense. We talked for another hour, not about fixing things, about understanding them. She told me she felt lighter now, more present in her own life. I told her I'd started therapy. That surprised both of us. I don't want to become the kind of man who only understands love after it leaves, I said. She smiled again, this time softer. Then don't, she replied. When we hugged goodbye, it was longer. Not romantic, not desperate, grateful. The months that followed were uncomfortable. Growth usually is. I learned to sit with feelings instead of organizing them. Say things while they were still alive. Risk being misunderstood rather than absent. Some days I failed. Some days I caught myself mid-withdrawal and stayed. That felt like progress. I dated again, eventually. Slower, more honest. I didn't confuse calm with distance anymore. Or strength with silence. I spoke earlier, listened longer, stayed present even when it felt unsafe. Sometimes, late at night, I still think of Claire. Not with regret, with respect. She didn't leave because she stopped loving me. She left because she loved herself enough to stop shrinking. And here's the truth I don't say out loud often. Losing her didn't make me weaker. Understanding why I lost her made me better. Some lessons don't arrive gently. They wait until you're finally quiet enough to hear them. I didn't lose love, that I lost a version of myself that couldn't hold it. And that, somehow, feels like a beginning.